All right, what is going on, Guff Gang? We are super excited to announce our newest sponsor, Thrive Fantasy. Thrive Fantasy is a daily fantasy sports app for player props. They have eliminated the need to do countless hours of research because they only ask you about the top tier athletes for that specific sport. So it's basically like using SparkNotes but for DFS. Each prop has a fantasy point total associated with the over/under based on its likelihood to occur, which makes it that much easier for you to win big. Speaking of winning big, let's talk about money. Thrive has awarded over $1,500,000 since launching in 2018, and just for the NFL Week 1 alone, they have $50,000 guaranteed in prizes. For me, that basically means 50,000 Taco Bell runs right there, so I don't know about you. All you have to do is use promo code GUFF, that's GUFF, and make at least a $20 deposit. You'll then get a $20 instant bonus on the spot, just like that. That easy, just for signing up using the promo code and doing a $20 deposit. To download the app, all you have to do is either go to the App Store, the Play Store, or you can go to their website at www.thrivefantasy.com. Sign up, prop up, and get goofed.
All right, welcome in, Guff Gang. This is Grown Up Fantasy Football. It is Thursday, and Joey Marino here with my two co-hosts, as usual, Zach Maziarz, James Reiner.
Week 2.
Week 2 is among us. That's correct. We are going to be doing our predictions for Week 2, taking it game by game. We'll give you our Would You Rather start each for this week, and we'll be giving you our top scorer of the week, as well as our starts of the week. So, boys, let's. You want to talk a little bit about Monday Night Football, real quick? What do you think of the two games?
I think the Titans and Broncos game, besides the end of it, turned out to be what I thought it was going to be. The two teams with the most rust to shed off. Drew Lock looked pretty good. I was impressed. Noah Fant, he looked good too. So great sleeper value pick for this year, potentially. I guess, hopefully, not just as long as Sutton's out. But, yeah, enjoyed it. Steelers game. Steelers D looked great. Loved seeing Big Ben back and Juju getting that connection going early on. So, yeah, fun things to look forward to for sure.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway was that the Steelers offense under Big Ben is a good offense again, and you can play your players confidently in that system.
Right.
Yeah. Agreed.
Benny Snell looked great too.
Yeah. I kind of thought the Broncos D looked pretty good, sans Von Miller. Now, and everybody's really down on him, but, I mean, yeah, Henry still had 100 yards, which he's going to get 100 yards, but still, they didn't look too bad. But, yeah, without any further ado, let's get into some news. News and updates. So, a few items here. Most notably, Michael Thomas is going to be out for multiple weeks due to his ankle injury. I think we talked about it on the last show, but doesn't look good for Michael Thomas. Fantasy owners, very sorry. So is there anybody you guys would recommend picking up maybe on that Saints offense?
Obviously, Emmanuel Sanders, if he isn't already owned.
Yeah, I think the majority of people that I would pick up are already owned, being Jared Cook, Emmanuel Sanders, and, of course, Alvin Kamara. They're all going to see an increase from Michael Thomas being out. This probably hurts Drew Brees' value a little bit too, so be keeping an eye out there. But yeah, those are probably the three that I see impacting the most, and they are probably rostered unless you're in a 6-man league.
Yeah. Yep. Allen Robinson has been a little strange lately. He took all of the Chicago Bears branding off his social media, and apparently he's a little disgruntled about contract talks with Chicago. What do you guys think? What's going on there?
This is scary if you're the Allen Robinson owner for right now. You don't want him to hold out or anything, but
Nope.
I think if a trade does happen, it really can only increase his value because his quarterback situation isn't that good. So I think
See,
you're kind of hoping.
I
Go ahead.
disagree, actually. I feel like Mitch hyper targets him. It's one of those things where, like, you see, like, Matt Ryan, like, just always looking for Julio. It's one of those receivers that is just, I guess, like we talked about it last episode, where how good is Mitch Trubisky really enough to beat out Nick Foles, or is it just he knows to target Allen Robinson, and that's his go-to? So it's a little scary, just because, you know, in terms of trade-wise, you don't know when that would happen. I always think, too, you know, when you're trading middle of the season, that almost sometimes will give you, like, a game of not having much production from them, because if they go somewhere else, they have to learn the playbook, you know, fit in, depending on the time of the week it is, might even not play that first week. So sometimes it's a little scary. You know, you want them to produce all season long. So, but who knows? I know there's a lot of stuff being said about the agent saying they haven't really talked trades and stuff like that. Matt Nagy and Allen Robinson sat down, had a good conversation. So there's a chance he doesn't get traded. Things go out well. So we'll see. But if anything does happen, boosts Anthony Miller stock right there.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Moving on, Philip Lindsay is day-to-day with turf toe, so be cognizant of that. I think your Melvin Gordon stock is going to increase a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Also, James Conner is dealing with an ankle injury, and I think we all saw Benny Snell put in the work against the Giants on Monday night. He looks great. So I think Connor's not necessarily ruled out for next game, but be aware and be sort of weary for the James Conner owner. Look for that. Try to get that Snell share in your
He's
league.
a must play if Connor is out for sure.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't
definitely.
understand necessarily, like, I saw a lot of people saying take Benny Snell over Nyheim Hines, and I don't see Connor missing much time, if any. So I don't know. Nyheim Hines seems like no matter what, like they've already announced Jonathan Taylor's going to be starting ahead of him, but he's still going to get a lot of work. Benny Snell really is only fantasy relevant if James Conner misses time, which he is very injury prone, so he could, but I don't know. I would have rather gotten Nyheim Hines over Benny Snell, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I think Hines is the long-term play here.
Mm-hmm.
Additionally, Juju sat out of practice yesterday with a knee issue, so be careful about that. Nothing really big coming out of there, but just be aware. And then lastly, Miles Sanders is coming along through the Eagles, through his injury with the Eagles, and he may have a shot to play this weekend. So things are looking up for Sanders. I don't think it's announced yet, but be looking out for any Miles Sanders news.
Mm-hmm.
I'm calling it right now. Eagles signed Devontae Freeman, and everyone who has Miles Sanders just panics.
I'm already not comfortable with Miles Sanders. If you're the owner, I would not feel confident playing him.
Right. Which Boston
Yeah.
Scott got hurt too, but yeah, with his injury, even before the season started, it just makes you think they have to have some inkling in their mind thinking, okay, we don't want to give him the bell cow work anymore, you know, that we thought we did because he already had an injury. We want to keep him healthy for season long. So, yeah, pretty concerning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed there. But that's about do it for the news. So what do you say we take it game by game?
All right, let's take it game by game, Guff Gang. It's tough to say. All right, so first we have our Thursday night football game, the Bengals at the Browns. What do we think is going to happen here, James?
I think it's going to be an ugly game, kind of like the Bengals game last week. You have to start mixing. You drafted him too high. You have to play him. I think you could play Green or Boyd in a flex and high side wide receiver too.
Yep.
But Burrow, you shouldn't have to play Burrow. I don't think anyone's in that situation where you have to play him at quarterback. And then on the Browns side, you have to play Chubb, and you probably have to play Hunt, but I'm not expecting a huge game here. I think they're going to split carries, and together they'll have a solid fantasy game, but they'll split that value right down the middle, so it won't really work. But you probably have to play both.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Joey, what about you?
I'm thinking Browns running backs will outproduce Mixon in this game. I think Jarvis Landry's a decent play.
He
and AJ
might
Green.
not play, possibly. I saw some
Oh,
stuff saying
really?
he's not practicing, so there's a chance he might not play. You know, if you're not practicing day before, who knows? So we'll see. We'll keep monitoring that. But yeah, if he does not play, what do y'all think of OBJ?
I don't know. Yeah, I think you have to play him
Yeah, if you
because
got
just
him,
where
you
you
gotta
drafted
play
him. But I'm
Yeah.
I'm not expecting much. I'm not very confident in it.
Yeah, I think last week too you saw, which granted he was going against Marcus Peters, the Ravens D, but last week he still had about 10 targets. So, you know, if Jarvis Landry does miss time, targets will still be there just the same as they were last week. It's not as good of a defense, not as good as corners that he's playing against, but at the same time it's like, okay, Baker is probably going to take the reins back a little bit, figure out how to not force feed OBJ so that way they can actually be competitive. So, yeah, we'll see there. I do think that Chubb actually has a better game. I don't know about Hunt necessarily, but I feel like with Chubb averaging 6 yards a carry last game against a good Ravens D, this one will be a lot more manageable of a game going against the Bengals. And, yep, I could see him doing fairly well.
Let me ask you guys something. Would you rather play AJ Green or OBJ in this matchup?
AJ Green.
AJ Green.
I think AJ Green for me too.
Yeah,
Yep.
I liked what I saw last game with AJ Green, so I think he'd have a pretty decent game.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, so next we will go to the Giants at the Bears. Joey, what you got going on here?
Well, as long as Allen Robinson is still on the team, you got to play him. Definitely. I think Anthony Miller is also a good play here, too. I really like the receivers in this game. I think Slayton and Sterling Shepard might be some sneaky plays here, too.
Yeah.
As well, I think Mitch Trubisky, believe it or not, could be a sleeper in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about David Montgomery? I think you can play David Montgomery with confidence this week. Snell had a good game against this Giants D last week.
Yeah, he shredded them for about 100 yards, 115 yards or so. So, yeah, I think David Montgomery, he looked good. He had some really solid runs last week. So, yeah, I could see him doing well. I'm agreeing with you, Joey. Anthony Miller, Allen Robinson, I would say start up. You know, that Giants pass defense got pretty lit up last week against the Steelers. So, you know, granted, Mitch is not Big Ben, but we've seen some good things out of him from time to time. So, I think it'll be good. All right, but let's move on forward. We got the Rams at the Eagles. Me personally, I am nervous for the Eagles in this game. So, James, what do you think?
Yeah. I think you're only playing the tight ends for the Eagles, Goddard and Ertz. I guess you have to play Miles Sanders, but I, again, don't expect much, I think. Then on the Rams side, I think the Rams defense could be a good play this week. Washington put up 15 points against them last week. And then Woods and Kupp, I would start. And I would also take a chance on Malcolm Brown again this week. Play the hot running back.
Mm-hmm. I agree with all that. I think you want to avoid Wentz, definitely. And I think if you have the chance to sit Miles Sanders again, then I would take it. Woods and Kupp, good plays. I think Goff could be an interesting stream if he's not already owned. And yeah, I agree. I think the Rams defense is going to be strong. I think I heard that Lane Johnson may be coming back though this week for the Eagles. We'll see if that makes too big of an impact, but it looks like Washington just had their day with Carson Wentz last week. So
yeah, and I'm thinking that's what's going to happen with the Rams too. I think they get out to an early lead. That O-line's not looking good for the Eagles. The Rams D was looking pretty hot against the Cowboys. So in terms of Miles Sanders, you know, he might not have the rushing game that you're wanting, but who knows? He could make up for it in the passing game, which is, why you're drafting him. He's that dual threat. So we'll see. I could see him potentially having a pretty good game, not, lights out like Josh Jacobs did last week. But yeah, on the receiving side, Ertz and Goddard, about all you can do really with the Eagles there. Okay. Well, let's move on forward. We got Falcons at the Cowboys. This, to me, screams another shootout like last week with the Falcons at Seahawks. So what are y'all's thoughts?
Shootout. Play everybody.
Yep.
Yeah. You load up your Cowboys, load up your Falcons. I think Todd Gurley's going to be a strong play this week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With as much yards as Malcolm Brown. If Malcolm Brown can look that good against the Cowboys, I am like salivating at the mouth thinking about Todd Gurley playing them. So yeah, I think you fire up all the receivers, all the QBs, third, fourth string, and,
everyone.
Yeah.
What about Hurst? Are you playing Hurst this week?
I think he'll be a big bump up from last week. He still had 5 targets, which and looking at Austin Hooper's production last year, 5 targets kind of pales a little bit in comparison to some of the targets he drew, but I think 5 targets is a good starting point. Last week you would have wanted to see it get done with it being such a shootout like it was, but I think this week still has the potential to be like, okay, he drew the 5 targets last week. Hopefully it'll just increase this week and has the same type game script. So,
and tight end, you need a tight ends are just so hard to come by, and any chance you can take, you pretty much have to go with it.
Yeah, I'm not bailing out on him too early yet. I'm still holding out, hoping he'll return some of that value.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go Panthers at the Bucks. What do we think is going to go on here, James?
CMC is the only player I think you should play on the Panthers. Robbie Anderson at a flex if you're desperate. I think you could do that. On the Buccaneers side, I think they're going to bounce back strong. Tom Brady, I think he's going to be mad from last week and have a great game. I would play all your Bucks with confidence. The only people I'm worried about is the running backs. I don't know who you can play there confidently. And then Gronk and OJ, I think they're okay to play this week. I don't think that they're a bad to have in your lineup. I think they have the potential to get a lot of points this week.
So you said you're only starting CMC and then possibly Robbie Anderson and flex. Are you not starting DJ Moore, or did you just miss him?
I'm not confident starting DJ Moore, really. How about you guys? I'm not.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm putting Robbie Anderson in the flex, I'm definitely starting DJ Moore before that.
Yeah, I am too.
How many targets did DJ Moore get last week?
Not as many as Robbie Anderson, that's for sure. I think he got like 5, maybe. I can pull that up for you real quick. But Joey, give us your thoughts.
So I think Godwin's the smash. I think OJ is worth a look over Gronk. I think Brady loves the 2 tight end sets. If I'm thinking back to the Gronk and Aaron Hernandez Patriots days, I think OJ's a nice play. I think out of the running backs, I kind of like Ronald Jones a little more than Fournette, which sounds really strange to say. But yeah, and otherwise, I like DJ Moore a little bit better than Robbie. But yeah, I mean, you're definitely starting CMC. I think Robbie's worth a look, but I like DJ Moore a little more.
And
more.
Yeah, a little more. I also looked it up, James. DJ Moore got 9 targets last week, so wasn't able to connect on all of them. Only about 4 receptions, so that's still a pretty high target share. This week, I don't know, with it being the Panthers and Bucks, could be. I don't see it being a very high scoring game. I see it being kind of a game type management. So, not sure if you'll see 9 targets again for DJ Moore, but I don't know. With that target share, that's pretty good. Hopefully him and Teddy can connect on some of those. So I actually am pretty high on Ronald Jones for this game. Panthers just keep showing us, they are not equipped to stop the run, as evident by Josh Jacobs having 93 yards and 3 touchdowns last week. So I think if you give the same amount of touches that Ronald Jones had last week, this week, I think he'll produce pretty well. And Fournette, if he sees, still only about 5 carries or so, you hope he breaks off a long run. But yeah, probably we'll hold him back until he starts seeing a little bit more of the target shares and the carries there. So
y'all are confident in Tom Brady this week to have a good game?
I think he'll
I
have
think so.
a bounce back game for sure. But we're actually seeing one of his weapons possibly, I think for sure, is going to be taken away. Chris Godwin held out of practice today. He's in concussion protocol. Started symptoms, I think, today, which is Wednesday. So to see that happen so late in the week, and the concussion protocol is pretty extensive. So I don't think he's going to play this weekend, actually. So with that being said, he loses a weapon. So I still think he gets it done, though, with Mike Evans, with Scotty, and with some of his other weapons.
Yeah, I think that's a bump up for OJ.
It could be, yeah.
Yeah. And OJ Howard, too, right? Orange juice
yes, both
and
OJ.
OJ Howard. Both. Yes. All right. Let us go to a far, far away land called the 49ers at the Jets.
Ooh.
I think all of us can agree the Jets are going to win this one, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, without question.
Without question. Adam Gase, best coach there is. Frank Gore, best running back there is. Youthful, spry.
He is a Hall of Famer.
He is. All right. What do we think is going to happen here? Joey, why don't you start us off?
All right, so back to reality. Raheem Mostert is a smash play against the Jets. I honestly think you could line up all your 49ers against the Jets. It looked very hapless against the Bills. Otherwise, I think Jameson Crowder is an ugly but productive play this week.
Yeah. 49ers defense should be the top scoring defense on the week easily. I'm not playing any Jets at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
Well, Richard Sherman is out on the IR.
Yeah, he's on the IR now. I don't think that matters.
I'm still not playing any
I think they're trying to
Jets.
give themselves the handicap to help the Jets out a little bit, but it's still not going to do anything. I actually don't agree with Mostert going off, Joey. I think the Jets actually didn't do that bad against the run last game for the Bills. Granted, Josh Allen ran all over them, but in terms of running back rushing yards and rushing production, they didn't do that bad. They're about middle of the pack. Raheem Mostert's production last week actually came on a 70-yard slant route for a touchdown. You take that away, and he only had a 10-point game. Now factor in Tevin Coleman having a couple more carries because they're not worried about him playing in a game with bad air quality. Jerick McKinnon getting used to the game, having a game under his belt, possibly getting a couple more snaps. I see Raheem Mostert having a fairly decent game, but I don't see him having a 20-point game like he did last week.
I disagree. I think Mostert's going to have a big game this week. I'm with Joey on this one.
I think the talent's there.
They're going to be dominating that game. They're going to be running the ball a lot, and Mostert's the primary back, it seems.
Yeah, but I mean, if they get out to an early lead, then they don't even have to use Mostert. They just filter in Tevin Coleman, Jerick McKinnon.
Yeah, I kind of disagree with that. I kind of think when you get a lead, you give it to your ground and pound back. You want to. That's how I usually see the game. That's how I interpret the game scripts. That's how I think they usually go.
Okay.
I tend to agree with you, James, on that.
I don't know. If I were a coach, I would basically tell myself, all right, let's try and take away the run and make Jimmy G beat us because we all know Jimmy G's not, a lights out like elite QB. And we all know the run's coming for them. So who knows? We'll see. Maybe Adam Gase can figure this one out. Maybe he can't at all whatsoever. All right. Moving on. Yeah, probably not. No. Moving on, we got Broncos at Steelers. This one probably will be a good one. This will kind of show us a little bit more of what Drew Lock is made of. But, I mean, he held his own against Titans D last week, so we think he can do something against the Pittsburgh Steelers D.
I don't. I wouldn't play Drew Lock with any confidence whatsoever. That Steelers D is pretty solid. You have to play Melvin Gordon, and Melvin Gordon had a good game last week. And especially if Phillip Lindsay doesn't play, then you definitely have to. There's no question Melvin Gordon should be in your lineup.
Yeah. Do you think he does well this week against the Steelers D, though? Or are you just saying, you got to start him out of priority and guilt.
I'm not expecting a running back one numbers this week.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Are y'all interested at all in Royce Freeman with Philip Lindsay being out?
No.
Yeah.
Not me.
Nah.
I think maybe if you're in a deeper league, possibly just for the time being, but no, I wouldn't touch him.
No.
On
I
the
think
Go
I was
ahead.
gonna say, on the Broncos, I think the main one to play is Noah Fant.
Mm-hmm.
He's the security blanket while Cortland Sutton's out, and it looks like Cortland Sutton may be out for the next game. I think he's on progress to keep. He's progressing through the injury protocol, but it's an AC joint, and sometimes they take a little bit longer to heal. So I think he may be out for this game, and even with him in, I still would probably load up Noah Fant.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Broncos have a tough time actually. One of the things that was, difficult for them last game was their line. Actually, it wasn't playing that great against the Titans. Steelers got a great rush, so I'm thinking he's not going to have a whole lot of time to pass. He's going to have to make a lot of quick passes. So yeah, he might actually be able to get a lot going to Noah Fant, especially if Sutton's out, because Noah Fant's one of those, dink it, throw a quick little route to him, and then he's got the athleticism to turn that into a very big play. So we could see a lot of that against the Steelers.
Are y'all playing? Are y'all comfortable playing Jerry Jeudy with Sutton out?
He had a lot of drops in this last game. I know Joey is intrinsically and eternally united to Jerry Jeudy, but I don't think so.
Yeah,
it's one of those rookie wide receiver things. He doesn't look completely ready for the role. It almost seems like something where he'd actually be better off with Sutton there than with Sutton gone.
Yeah, I would need to see production from him before I make a decision on whether or not to play him.
Yeah.
Agreed.
All right. Awesome. Well, let's move on to the Jags at the Titans. Joey, just kidding. James, let's hear your thoughts. I'm tired of your thoughts, Joey.
I think James Robinson's a solid play this week. I could see RB2 numbers from him. I'm comfortable with playing him there. And even Minshew, I think you could probably stream him. He's I think he was solid last week, and I think he could do it again against the Titans. Then on the Titans side, obviously you're playing Derrick Henry, and A.J. Brown and the tight end Smith. I don't think I would stream the Titans defense this week. I know some people are considering that, but I don't think that's. I think there's better options out there.
Yeah, I think if Drew Lock can do fairly well against the Titans, that Minshew should be able to do just fine. I'm personally hoping to see an A.J. Brown resurgence after last game only having a 5 for 39 stat line. He also wasn't practicing some this week, so I don't know. It's one of those narratives where, you see him go and do awesome things last season, but you do see some of those bust games last season. So far, that's what we're getting. So I would really hope that we could see him have a bounce back game this week too, and kind of show why you spent that draft capital on him. Joey, what do you think?
I agree with all that. Gardner's a stream. Robinson's a good play. I like Jonnu this week, and I think Corey Davis may be worth a look, especially with A.J. Brown being injured. I think Corey Davis would be worth a flex.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I could see that. I think it's so weird. It's like, this is a weird season as a whole, but I think Corey Davis actually sat out for practice too with a little probably nagging hip or something like that. But I don't think it's too big of a concern with any of these players when they sit out a practice, especially with this. This first game was basically preseason for them. Like they haven't gotten those live hits until just this week one. So I really wouldn't put too much emphasis on that, but we are seeing a lot of players miss at practice right now. So I think that's an okay sign for the circumstances we're going through. All right. Lions at the Packers. My gosh, Packers looked great last game. Rodgers is in MVP form. Adams, beautiful. I'm thinking same type thing happens this game against the Lions. Rodgers and Adams show. I personally think that we should look for a bigger game from Marvin Jones against Jair Alexander. I think he'll actually do pretty well in this game. What do y'all think?
I think the Packers are gonna beat them pretty bad, kind of like what they did to the Vikings. But then the Lions will be able to get some garbage time points. So you'll see Matthew Stafford and Marvin Jones end up with pretty good games. And I think if the Packers are this hot, you have to play Lazard too. I think he needs to be in lineups.
Yeah. I think both MVS and Lazard are good options this week. Rodgers looks great. So, I mean, he's hitting everywhere. I also think that AP is a solid play this week.
Yeah, I would definitely play AP like a flex or something. We saw it last week. He got the touches. Packers' run defense is nothing to write home about, so I think he could have a good week as well. Another thing I wanted to say, Matthew Stafford, I've been seeing a lot of stuff about him saying, oh, he's a bust, or oh, he's not going to do that great this season. He's missing Kenny Golladay right now, and last week he had 16 points, and that was with a drop touchdown from DeAndre Swift. He doesn't drop that touchdown, that's a 20-point fantasy day right there, and we would not be having this conversation at all about Matthew Stafford, so I think everything's completely fine.
Yeah, agreed.
Yep. All right, let's go to the Bills at the Dolphins. I'm probably going to get a lot of flack after Dolphins got pretty crushed by the Patriots of my bold prediction that they would win the division, but I'm still going to hold true to it. But what do y'all think? Same old Dolphins in this game, or we see anything different from them?
Same old. You start Josh Allen, and I think John Brown's a really good play this week. I think all your Bills are good plays.
Joey, I hate doing this to you, but John Brown actually sat out of practice today too.
Okay, just, you know what? Don't listen to me anymore.
I'm just kidding. This could mean nothing. It probably doesn't mean anything, but
who knows?
I find it funny that every player you bring up has sat out of practice.
Clearly, I haven't done my research.
It's all maintenance.
I think the only Dolphin to own and probably not start is Preston Williams. I don't know about Gesicki.
I heard Devontae Parker actually was in pads for practice, and I think he's day-to-day now. He probably still could miss this weekend, but I would keep an eye on that for sure.
Yeah, don't drop.
Yeah, I'm actually the opposite way. I think Gesicki's the only Dolphin you play this week. And then I'm not sure if you play Singletary or Moss for the Bills. It's a little murky right now, so I would hold off if you have a better option.
Right. Yeah. I think I don't know if we know how many goal line carries Moss had or red zone carries Moss had in terms of compared to Singletary, but I would personally start Moss over Singletary in this. I think Josh Allen, in terms of his rushing production and rushing numbers from last game, he went 14 rush attempts for 57 yards and a touchdown. I think we can see probably the same type of rushing stats this game, just because Cam Newton just lit the Dolphins up on the ground. I don't see much of a difference with Josh Allen. So, all right. So next we have the Vikings at the Colts. This is going to be an exciting game, primarily because we saw Marlon Mack go down with an injury. So we are going to get to see Jonathan Taylor as the primary running back for the Colts. Joey, what do you think?
I think Jonathan Taylor will get his share of targets in the run game, and I think he's going to dominate in this game. I'm liking Jonathan Taylor this week. Vikings are a weak defense this year, not like your typical Vikings defense. I think Jonathan Taylor dominates. I think Kirk Cousins may be a stream candidate with. I mean, it won't be garbage time points, I don't think, but I think it's going to be a good.
With Rivers, there's always the potential for some interceptions to where I could see the Vikings being on the field offensively a little bit more often than maybe in other games. So it might not be garbage time points, but they will get the offensive opportunities to where Kirk Cousins is a good streamer.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think he's going to soak the targets. Hopefully, you didn't spend all 80 of your fab to get him, but
I think there's some people, like after seeing the amount that some people spent on him, there probably are some people who either did spend upwards of 80 or wish they did, because he went for higher in our league than I thought he was going to go. And I saw a lot of other places where he went pretty high. So, you don't want your fab just sitting in your pocket by the end of the season. So I guess if you could see that clear-cut path like he is to possibly be an Austin Eckler from last year, you got to take him. So 80 wasn't too bad of a shot there, Joey.
maybe not.
He went for 51% in our league, and we're a pretty competitive league, so it was pretty shocking. But
We're pretty competitive. Scotty Miller went for 41.
yeah.
That's pretty competitive.
And Goddard went for a lot too, didn't he? What was it, like 30?
Yeah. I think it was 35, 37, which, James, you were saying that's one of those things where tight end's hard to come by. So if you can see him being a clear-cut tight end one, then you got to take him. You got to do what it takes.
The only other interesting player in this game, I think, is Paris Campbell. He had 9 targets last week. I think it's just a matter of time before he blows up. I don't know which game it's going to be. It might be this one. It might not be. But I think he's someone to consider putting in your lineups.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's kind of funny, too, how Paris Campbell and T.Y. Hilton, I think, drew like the biggest target share. I saw a lot of fantasy experts talking up Michael Pittman Jr. I don't see it. I see this being more timeshare between Paris Campbell, T.Y. Hilton, and then, of course, Nyheim Hines going to get his target. So I agree there. I think Adam Thielen is going to be a safe play throughout the year regardless. And, of course, Dalvin Cook will too. So, All right. Well, we are going to move on to the 3 o'clock games. We have the Washington football team playing the Arizona Cardinals. James, why don't you kick us off with your favorite team?
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting matchup because the Washington defense looked great last week and the Cardinals offense looked great. So it should be a great clash. I'm not comfortable playing any Washington running back, not Gibson, not even Barber after his 2-touchdown performance. I'd only play Scary Terry in this matchup from Washington. And then on the Cardinals side, you're playing Hop, Murray, and Drake.
Yep. I thought you said Hot Murray. That
Hot
Murray, he's
Murray.
so hot right now.
Very hot.
I think I agree with all that. I do think you saw Dan Arnold, who was kind of a preseason darling for tight ends. He didn't get a whole lot of production, but I think he's a good long-term hold on the Cardinals. Otherwise, yeah, I'm playing Scary Terry, and I'm loading up my my Cardinals offense. Chase Edmonds may be an interesting play as well.
Yep. Yeah, he was a lot more involved in the passing game than I thought he was going to be. And you've got Cliff Kingsbury coming out saying this was back, in training camp. Chase Edmonds is starting RB, so I think he's actually going to see some of those Drake touches. I actually have in my notes, I don't see Drake unless the Cards take a very early lead and they're just going to run the ball out. I don't see Drake having an amazing game, especially with the Washington D looking pretty good last week. But, you have to start him still. But yeah, Edmonds honestly could be a good flex play at this point. And I do think it's going to be a bounce back game for Scary Terry also.
Would y'all play Christian Kirk or Larry Fitzgerald in this matchup?
I think Christian Kirk was a outlier last week. What was it, like 1 target for 5 yards or something like that? I think he was an outlier, but at the same time, that's his floor. We have to assume there is a chance he does that again. And with them loving the addition of DeAndre Hopkins, I could see the same thing happening. So I kind of want to wait, see that be established, and have a couple good games out of him before he is in my lineups.
Mm-hmm.
Larry Fitzgerald, very safe, but same thing with him.
Yeah, I like Kirk better.
Yeah. All right. Ravens at the Texans. This seems like it's going to be a good one. Honestly, really any game that the Ravens play seems like it'll be a good one. So, Joey, why don't you kick us off with this one?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good game. I think, you got to play Deshaun. Hollywood Brown's a nice play, but I don't think I'm looking at like Willie Snead or Miles Boykin in this game. I think David Johnson is still a decent play. He's not going to produce the same way he did against the Chiefs. Much better defense with the Ravens, but I also think Darren Fells could be an interesting pickup too at tight end if you're thin there.
Yeah. For me, on the Texans side, I wouldn't play Brandon Cooks this week. I don't think you need to take that risk. And then on the Ravens side, I'm unsure about the running backs. I don't know if you can. I think you probably have to play Mark Ingram, but it's dangerous right now. What do y'all think about that situation?
Yeah, this is one of those things that I think Ingram and J.K. Dobbins saw similar snap shares. I think J.K. Dobbins was in about 40% of the time, and he got all of the goal line work. So this is something where I can see, the Texans, I know that they, Clyde Edwards-Helaire ran all over them, but they're not a bad defense. So I think that, I'm a little weary on trusting Mark Ingram, especially with him not getting those goal line carries anymore. And I could soon see this being more of J.K. Dobbins' backfield. I definitely think he'll produce more than he did last week, though. But yeah,
I think barring injury to Ingram, I think the most that I think the split, the highest the split could go for Dobbins would be 60-40.
Okay. So you think Dobbins would get 60 or Mark Ingram would get 60?
Dobbins. I think at the most he would get 60 unless Ingram's hurt. Then it's Dobbins.
I mean, yeah, Ingram's the vet there. I don't see Dobbins completely taking over that backfield, but I could see it becoming a favorable split his way later down the road.
Yeah.
Agreed. I think too with the Browns. Now, granted, the Texans are no Browns; they are not. But we saw OBJ completely taken out of the game by this Ravens defense by Marcus Peters. Texans, we saw it last week against the Chiefs. They don't have a great DeAndre Hopkins wide receiver one anymore. They are trying to piece it together with some speedy guys, with Will Fuller, with Brandon Cooks, with Kenny Stills. I'm seeing a lot of the same shutdown at wide receiver from this Ravens defense, to where the Texans are actually having to either get David Johnson the ball a little bit more, but I think that Deshaun Watson is going to have to do it with his legs this week. So I actually think he's going to have a fairly good fantasy game.
I could see that. I think I agree, but that's why I think Fells could be an interesting play if they take away all those options.
Yeah, definitely.
Who would y'all rather play this week, Hollywood Brown or Will Fuller?
Hollywood.
Yeah, I would say Hollywood.
Okay.
All right, let's go on to the Chiefs at the Chargers. I'll get us started with this one since I feel like I have the most stock in Austin Eckler. I feel like this game is going to be the deciding factor on what we're going to get from Austin Eckler this season. Against the Chiefs, they're going to come out quick. They're going to come out strong. There's going to be a lead already. So we will get to see, are the Chargers going to utilize Eckler in the passing game or not? Last game, he had one reception for like 3 yards, and you could definitely tell a significant drop-off in the amount of targets he got from having Phillip Rivers the year previous. So, and then after that, Anthony Lynn came out and said, we want to get Eckler more involved and get him more touches, but at the same time, our scheme is no longer checkdowns to running backs. So there's some concern there. He still saw 19 carries, which is awesome, but at the same time, he had some of that goal line work taken away by Joshua Kelly. So this, to me, is hit the panic button if Eckler does not have a great game, if he is not targeted in the passing game, whether they try and work him in the slot a little bit or just, have some established routes for him to run. And I think this is also one of those games where we get to see that Tyrod Taylor is just a game manager, and the Chargers will probably see that too. But what do y'all think? What do y'all think is going to happen with this game?
I agree with that. I think the Chargers are going to struggle. You have to play Eckler, and you have to play Allen, and you have to play Henry, but I don't expect a good game. On the Chiefs side, obviously you're playing all your studs, and I think you could play Hardman or Watkins in your flex this week if you have to.
Yep.
See, this is where I'd start to avoid Sammy Watkins.
After week 1?
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't really be super comfortable playing either him or Hardman, but I think out of the two, I would rather play Hardman. But in terms of the Chargers, I think they're going to be playing from behind, and I think Mike Williams. I mean, to correct me if I'm wrong, but is he doing better? Was he held out of practice against Zach?
He actually retired, Joey. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's I actually think he's going to keep playing. Surprising that he played last week, but he played, and I think everything indicates he will play too. I was actually just about to bring him up to see if y'all would be interested in playing him because you know, like we talked about, Chargers is probably going to be coming from behind. So you would think they have to ditch the run, establish the pass, and hopefully trying to get it to whatever targets they can. So I can see Mike Evans having a couple deep shots, redeem himself.
Mike Williams.
I'm sorry, Mike Williams. Excuse me. Yeah, I can see Mike Williams potentially having a decent day with a couple of deep shots.
Yeah.
All right, so next we have Sunday Night Football. We are talking the Patriots at the Seahawks. What do we think is going to happen here, fellas? I personally think this is going to be a game where the Seahawks go back to the ground attack. I do not think they're going to let us see Russ cook anymore in the kitchen. What do y'all think?
I think Cam's a must start. I think Edelman and Michelle are okay plays. And I do agree with you. It'll probably be a more run-heavy game with the Seahawks because the Patriots will probably slow down the pace of play and they won't be able to get as many big plays off. But I still think you have to play DK and Tyler Lockett. They're too good not to have in your lineup.
Right.
Yep.
Joey?
Agreed. You're getting back to the ground game, and you're just kind of hoping, I think, for that big busted coverage for Lockett or Metcalf. Russ is going to get something done, but you're looking mostly at a Chris Carson and probably a Cam Newton show on the ground.
Right. And I'm eager to see N'Keal Harry to see if he produces. Last game, he didn't do that great. He had a fumble too, but he had an 80% snap share. So I'm hoping that he'll actually do something this game. We could see him bounce back. Seahawks gave up about 450 receiving yards as well as 2 touchdowns. So hopefully something happens there. But let's move on. We're going to go Saints at the Raiders for Monday Night Football. I'm thinking Josh Jacobs, maybe not 33 points in half PPR this week, but still pretty decent game for him. What do you guys think?
Yeah, you're playing Jacobs where you drafted him. You got to. I'm not a big fan of Derek Carr in this game, and the receivers are iffy. I think Henry Ruggs could be sneaky because I think he's just too fast. But I also think Jared Cook is a good play against the Raiders.
Yeah, I like Emmanuel Sanders a lot this week too with Michael Thomas being out. I think the Saints offense is going to produce, so you need the top wide receiver there. Then on the Raiders side, the only player I didn't hear Joey mention was Darren Waller. I think you can still play Darren Waller in this matchup. Henry Ruggs, I'm not as confident in as you are. I would probably sit him this week.
Well, he's my bold take, so I got to be confident.
There you go.
Yep. Yeah, I'm thinking, if the Raiders gave up 255 pass yards to Teddy B, then Breezy D can get something going, That's what I'm thinking. But again, Michael Thomas won't be with him, so he's going to have to rely heavily on Jared Cook and Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas.
So I have a question. Do you guys like Traquan Smith here?
I think you could pick him up and see what he does, but I'm not playing him this week.
Yeah. Would be a speculative ad for sure.
Mm-hmm. I think he's a hold too.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. Awesome. Well, that is all we have for our game previews. So next we're going to move into our top scores of the week.
Would you rather start? All right. Who would you rather start in these situations? Zach, Jonathan Taylor, or Melvin Gordon this week?
Jonathan Taylor. Easy.
Joey?
Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I'm the same with you guys. I think he's going to be an easy RB1 this week. Next, we got Hines or James Robinson? Joey?
Hines.
Zach?
Hines.
I'm going Hines too. You probably had to pay a pretty big price to get him, so he should be in your lineup. AJ Green or Melvin Gordon? Zach,
AJ Green.
Joey.
So I had AJ Green, but with Philip Lindsay out, I'm thinking Melvin Gordon. I think a low scoring game with Browns and Bengals.
I agree with you, and I would go Melvin Gordon. I think he's a safer play. Joey, Emmanuel Sanders or Hollywood Brown?
Give me Hollywood.
I think I'm going Hollywood too. Zach?
Yeah, I'm saying Hollywood.
I still think Emmanuel's gonna have a good game, but I'm still more faith in Hollywood this week.
Mm-hmm.
Sammy Watkins or Alan Lazard? Zach?
I'm going to go Alan Lazard. Sammy Watkins do not trust after week 1.
Joey?
I already talked about Sammy Watkins, so definitely load up Lazard.
Yeah, and Aaron Rodgers is hot right now. I think Lazard needs to be in your lineups.
Mm-hmm.
Marvin Jones or John Brown? Joey?
Give me John Brown.
Zach?
Wow. I'm going starving Marvin here.
Same here. Yeah, especially with if Kenny Golladay can't play again this week. then
Yeah.
definitely Marvin Jones.
Exactly.
Cooper Kupp or AJ Brown? Zach?
I'm going Cooper Kupp. I think he is less of a bust candidate than AJ Brown from last week. Did not like what I saw out of AJ Brown, so I'm going Kupp, just in case.
Joey?
I think AJ Brown bounces back in this matchup. I'm taking AJ Brown. I think Robert Woods still eats into too many targets for Cooper Kupp, even though there's a lot to go around.
Yeah. I think I'm going Kupp in this. I think he's a little bit safer to play than AJ Brown right now. Hines or Ronald Jones? Zach?
I'm going Hines. Most formats are PPR now. Hines is going to get some targets. Ronald Jones, yeah, it's the Panthers, but it's Ronald Jones. I don't know what's going to happen there. No, he's probably not going to get that many targets. So, yeah, I think the upside of Hines is better.
Joey?
We saw Josh Jacobs run through the Panthers without any really passing. Well, a little bit of passing work, more than we've seen, but I still like Nyheim Hines over Ronald Jones.
I agree with you guys. Hines all the way. Scary Terry or Hollywood? Zach?
I put Scary Terry. I think we see a bounce back game from Terry McLaurin this week. So, yeah, I think Terry McLaurin.
Joey?
I like Terry McLaurin in this matchup, but I still think he's going to have Patrick Peterson on him, so I'm going Hollywood.
I'm going Hollywood too. I think he's in the better offense and the safer play.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Ebron or Zach Ertz? Zach?
Ooh, Zach Ertz.
Joey?
Ertz.
Ertz here too. I think it's pretty clear cut.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Stafford or Kirk Cousins? Joey?
I had Cousins originally, but I think I'm going to go with Stafford.
Zach?
We swayed you, didn't we, Joey? I'm saying Stafford. Last week, like I said, 16 points with no Golladay. Swift dropping a touchdown. He would have had 20 points, I think. This week it's going to be a good week for him.
I'm actually going Cousins here. I think he has a better game this week, and he had a good garbage point game last week, so I think he'll be good this week too. Drew Brees or Phillip Rivers? Joey?
I'm going to go Breeze, even
Zach?
without Michael Thomas.
I'm going to go Rivers, actually. No. I'm going to go Breeze, even without Michael Thomas, yeah. I was going to say Rivers having 1 week under his belt, establishing himself with the receiving core. I think he's got a fairly good receiving core, and on top of that, he's got a dink and dunk running back that he wants. But against the Raiders, after Teddy Bridgewater was able to, have the amount of yards and touchdowns he did against them, I think Breeze, even with no Michael Thomas, will still do well.
Breeze for me too, for the same reasons you all said. Cam Newton or Matt Ryan? Zach?
Cam Newton because of his rushing floor.
Joey?
I'm going to go with Matt Ryan. I do love Cam Newton this week, but I am a fan, and he already threw for 450 yards. He's leading the NFL in yards against the Seahawks, granted. But I still think he has a really good game.
I'm going to go Cam Newton. I think he has a higher ceiling, but I think Matt Ryan actually has a lower floor here. I think he's a safer play, but I would personally go with Cam Newton here. Adrian Peterson or Cam Akers? Joey?
Give Give me AP.
Zach?
Yeah, AP, Cam Akers, we haven't seen really enough from him so far as looking like Malcolm Brown's backfield to lose, but I think AP, they already gave him touches. It's the Packers D, so yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are hot on AP right now, and I'm actually not. I don't think Cam Akers is much better, but I'm going to lean Cam Akers because I could see him having the 2 touchdowns this week instead of Malcolm Brown. I could see that happening, so I'm going to go with Cam Akers here.
Okay.
Malcolm Brown or Kareem Hunt, Zach? Or Joey?
I'm going to go with Kareem Hunt. I think it's not going to be pretty, but I think he still does produce. It's a PPR. We're living in a PPR world, and I think Kareem gets all the passing work.
Zach?
Yeah, Kareem will rise to the top, something like that. I think Hunt.
I'm going to go with Malcolm Brown here just because he was the hot back last week, and I think they'll probably keep with him this week again on the goal line, so I'm going to go with Malcolm Brown. Emmanuel Sanders or Keenan Allen, Zach?
I'm going Sanders. With Michael Thomas out, he is the only one there, really, besides Jared Cook. So, like we said, Keenan Allen, yeah, they probably will be coming from behind, but I just see it being a little bit safer with Sanders.
Joey?
Yeah, I agree with Emmanuel Sanders. I do think Keenan Allen comes from behind, but I think more targets will go Mike Williams' way in that game.
Yeah, I think it's tough to say you have to sit Keenan Allen, but I agree with you guys. I think Emmanuel Sanders is the better play here. Cam Newton or Deshaun Watson? Joey?
Give me Cam.
Zach?
I'm actually taking Deshaun Watson. I know the Ravens D is pretty good. Both of them have the rushing ability. I just think that Deshaun Watson's going to have to use it a lot more in this game with them taking away his receivers. So give me Deshaun Watson.
I'm going to go Cam Newton here. I'm going to go Cam Newton just because Cam Newton's hot right now. I stick with the guys who are producing.
Mm-hmm.
Will Fuller or DJ Chark? Zach?
I'm going Chark. I'm not ready to sit my studs just yet. I know a lot of these are questions of, so-and-so or so-and-so, but, Chark, you spent up early on. I'm not going to bench him for Will Fuller just yet.
Joey?
Give me baby Chark.
I'm going Will Fuller here. I think he's going to get pummeled with targets again this week and should have another good game.
OBJ got pummeled with targets last week and did nothing with them.
It's true, but Watson's a better quarterback throwing to him.
True. I don't know Gardner Minshew does have that Bud Light deal.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Change my answer.
Redo.
It changes everything.
David Johnson or Todd Gurley? Zach?
I'm saying Todd Gurley after seeing what Malcolm Brown did to the Cowboys. Yeah.
Joey?
TG3.
Yeah, same here. I think Todd Gurley is going to have a good game this week.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that does it for who our starts are. Let's get into our top scores.
All right, so you heard who we'd rather start. Now, let's give you our top scorers of the week. James, who you got?
I'm going with the 49ers defense here. Jets look awful. 49ers are a solid defense. This is just a recipe for disaster. 49ers defense are the top scorer this week.
Solid, safe pick. I like it. Zach, what you got?
We all know what happens with solid, safe picks, Joey.
Shut up.
I have Amari Cooper. He saw 14 targets last week, still had 13 points in half PPR format, and that was against Jalen Ramsey. Last year, in the games where he saw 14 targets, those were his highest scoring games, one of which was 34 points. He has it in him for sure. I think he's going to get a lot of targets this upcoming game against the Falcons. And like we said, it's going to be a shootout. And even then, if they're able to open up those passing lanes with Zeke being destructive on the ground, that only benefits Amari Cooper. So I think everyone got kind of caught up in CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup being there, but I really think it's still Amari Cooper is the number one. So he is my top scorer.
And I am going to take Amari Cooper's quarterback. Give me Dak Prescott as my top scorer of the week. I think Russell Wilson laid out the blueprint on – well, I mean, I don't really know if you need a blueprint to beat the Falcons, quite honestly, but if you let the quarterback cook, he's going to produce. Russ put up, 34 points, I want to say, last week in PPR. And Dak has all the abilities and maybe more weapons, really, than Russ has. So I think he obliterates the Falcons, unfortunately. But Dak Prescott is my top scorer of the week. So,
and just to add to that, I thought Dak played a really good game last week against a tough Rams defense. So
Yeah.
to be playing a much weaker defense this week, I think he should have a great game.
So that's going to do it for our top scorers of the week, and that's going to do it for the show. So feel free to comment below who your top scorers of the week, what your predictions are for this week, who you would rather start in our situations. Be sure and follow us on Twitter at GrownUpFF. Check us out on Facebook as well, and be sure to subscribe. You know, we could really use some subscriptions here on YouTube. I think
We'll send you magazines in those subscriptions.
that's right. Old magazines that we find
used old magazines.
just laying around our house. So be sure to like and subscribe, comment below, go grow up, and get guffed.
Thank you.